Hey everyone, it's Spurs Rail 96 here. Welcome to another Train Sim World 4 news video. Today, Dovetail and Train Sim Germany have announced the next piece of content coming to Train Sim World 4, and that is a new diesel locomotive, German diesel locomotive, the DBBR 218, which is coming to all platforms on June the 25th. So let's take a look at the details of this locomotive and, see what you can do with it, really. So the current German rail network is defined largely by long, high-speed electrified lines hosting a range of powerful electric locomotives and multiple units. But that wasn't always the case. A fleet of powerful, noisy diesel hydraulic locomotives once roamed the tracks, with the DBBR 218 taking up both passenger and freight duties on both main and branch lines. Prototypes of the 218 were first built in the late 1960s, before the main run of locomotives entered service between 1971 and 1979. They became stable locomotives running across West Germany due to their impressive power output of up to 2,800 horsepower and a top speed of 140 kilometers per hour. Like many German locomotives, their use was extended over many decades through until the early 2000s, with many examples still being active today. As time progressed, they slowly begun to be replaced by more efficient diesel multiple units and electric traction as more parts of the network switched to electrified lines. Many remain in use for a variety of services and in recent decades have been allocated to push-pull operations on certain lines, long-distance mainline passenger trains, and hauling out-of-service intercity express units, as well as the occasional heritage rail tour. In the game, the DBBR 218 is recreated with a very detailed cab and exterior by Train Sim Germany, allowing players to experience the thrill of mainline diesel traction for the first time in Train Sim World. The audio has been sourced from a real-world driver of this type of locomotive, with the exterior also being modelled based on detailed imagery from the real thing. That's very good to hear. As far as operating the locomotive is concerned, it's like most other old German classes. It needs some patience and a foresight when driving it. Its usage is similar to the tap changer locomotives such as the DBBR 110 or the 111 or the 155, where you need to throttle down before you can start braking. The time needed for going from notch 15 to 2, for example, and then 0 is about 25 seconds. It's also important to use the correct transmission of gear for the type of train that you run. Gear 2, which is the fast gear, gives you about 160 kilonewtons max force at slow speeds, ramping down quickly when getting up to speed. So this is only meant for light trains running with up to 140 km per hour max speed. Gear 1, which is the slow gear, gains up to 220 kilonewtons of force and is best used with heavy freight trains with a max speed of 100 km per hour. The hydrodynamic brake is not that powerful, with only 90 kilonewtons max braking force, but can be quite useful for maintaining steep down gradients. It's coupled to the train brake as usual and uses brakes blending with the pneumatic brake. Cold starting the locomotive also requires patience and can take quite some time. Otherwise, it's fun and an easy to drive locomotive, according to Train Sim Germany. Now, as far as what you can do with this locomotive, the primary route for the DBBR 218, or its gameplay, is Hauptstrecke Hamburg-Lübeck, which was launched way back in Train Sim World 2. Sadly, this route will not be getting a facelift as far as, new sky system, lighting, weather tech and all that. It will remain the same, unfortunately. But players can operate the 218 in 29 new services. They are 15 Regional Express 83 services that run from Hamburg to Lübeck, hauling N-wagons, that's freight services. The Regional Express 83 service from Hamburg to Lübeck, hauling a DBBR 112 and Dosto wagon coaches, and 2 Regional Express 85 services that run from Hamburg to Lübeck, hauling Dosto coaches. And there are 11 freight services that run between Ravensburg, Sort, and Lübeck, using included freight with the route. For 218 leads on northbound services. In addition, further services include 16 regional express 83 services that run from Lübeck to Hamburg using the Endwagen cab car, one regional express 83 service that runs from Lübeck to Hamburg using the cab car with a 112 in formation, one regional express 83 depot service, and two regional express 85 services that run from Lübeck to Hamburg using the cab car. With the 218 and all other layers, Hamburg-Lübeck now has 271 playable services. In addition to the DBBR 218 layer with this timetable update, owners of the Niedertalbahn will find that the DBBR 628 in its modern red livery also now appears as AI at Lübeck Hauptbahnhof. The 218 is not required for this additional layer. 4 scenarios are included for this route, covering both passenger and freight operations. Players with both Hauptstrecke Hamburg-Lübeck and Maintalbahn will be able to operate additional services on the more recent Maintalbahn. This is to represent a period between December 2017 and 2018, where West Frankenbahn required additional traction to replace a DBBR 642 that had been allocated elsewhere. A DBBR 218 was provided. There are a total of 19 Regional Bahn 88 and a handful of shunting depot services. The 218 operated Regional Bahn services instead of Regional Express, as in reality. Regional Express services on the Maintalbahn operate on a request stop basis, but the Dostos have no ability to request a stop, and the 218 driver wouldn't be able to see it, whereas the Regional Bahn services are all stoppers anyway. Players can also enjoy an express-style service in free roam to recreate the occasional 218 rail tour, which arrived on the line in 2019. So the 218 will be available on June the 25th, 2024 for Xbox, PlayStation, Epic Games and Steam for a total price of £14.99, 17.99 euros and 17.99 US dollars. That's a bit steep, isn't it, for a Loco add-on? Nearly 15 quid, my god. That's an increase, I think. But yeah, there we go. That concludes this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, I will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.